I want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. In your opinion, which version or versions, translations of the Bible are best? Are there any that should be generally avoided? Thank you. Now, this is one of those questions that obviously our YouTube channel is just a couple minutes a day. On Wednesday nights here at First Baptist Opelika, we would answer a question like this. Well, we have in 20, 30, 40 minutes, and we go to great exhaustion. But when we talk about, quote, versions, they are classified in the English language into three what we might call categories. There are what we call word for word or literal translations. Some people used to call them wooden translations. Then we have what we call dynamic equivalents, and then what we might label as a paraphrase. Now, let me explain what this means. A word for word, literal wooden translation means that we take that word in Greek of the New Testament or in Hebrew of the Old Testament, and we translate it the best way we can into the English language, even if at times it doesn't flow real well because the words in English may not flow as well as they do in that respective language. A dynamic equivalent kind of, I want to say, softens it a little bit and says, okay, rather than necessarily translating it word for word, let's translate the idea or the concept. Now, the struggle I have with dynamic equivalents is a lot of times when you're putting it in that respective context, it could be the perspective, the theological position, or maybe even the agenda of the respective translators that makes it say what they want it to say when you're kind of removing yourself from the literalness of the passage. And then a paraphrase is simply just telling the story. There's not necessarily a guarantee of accuracy of facts, chronology, etc. Again, kind of reads like a novel. Now, I would say 2 Timothy 2:15 says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman rightly dividing the word of God. I would always say that one should study in a word for word translation. I understand a dynamic equivalent is good if one is new to the faith, immature of the faith, has no concept of the faith. Let's just give them the ideas of the faith. But at the end of the day, specifics matter and details matter. Speaking of those literal translations that I'm obviously advocating, I teach, preach, study, and read from what you and I know as the traditional King James Version. Is actually known as the AV for 300 years. But all that being said, one of the things that I so appreciate that I think you'll understand in this video is that if you're reading through the King James Version, you'll see words in italics. When you see words in italics, that means the translators have inserted words in English that were not there in Hebrew or Greek to, quote, smooth it out or to help it make sense. It's really the best of both worlds. You have this wooden, literal, word-for-word translation, but you also have kind of an aspect of a dynamic equivalent. We're going to help you out when the word flow doesn't make sense. Great question. If you have one, send it to AskJeff.net. And on this question, you put it in on Wednesday night, and we'll probably go for the whole hour. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for being a part of today's daily question. Now, we answer a question each and every day. Please feel free to submit a new question at AskJeff.net. We may not have gotten to yours today, but we eventually will continue to be a part of this. Subscribe so you don't miss out on a question every day.